Live from clickorlando.com and WKMG, we're getting results in your neighborhood. Now it's 6:30.
All right, some information just into our newsroom. Palm Bay police are clearing up some questions about this. It's a burned out SUV spotted near the scene of a brush fire. They tell us the PD SUV caught fire while responding to a homeless encampment between Onyx Drive and some railroad tracks today. The fire then spread to the nearby brush. Precautionary evacuations were later issued for the people living nearby. Palm Bay Police Department tells us that the officer in the car did get hurt while trying to put out the flames, but not badly. What caused the vehicle fire in the first place is under review right now.
That's just one of many brush fires that popped up all over Central Florida, but especially in Brevard County today. All three of these fires are in Palm Bay. The two in the smaller boxes are under control, but at one point, the one on Onyx Drive was getting dangerously close to some homes. Precautionary evacuations were ordered. Those have since been lifted. Meantime, Palm Bay Fire Rescue says the fire in the big box is the one that's burning in the area of the compound tonight, and several crews are on top of that. Hey, glad to have you with us online. This is News 6 at 6:30. We're getting results for you. Thanks for joining us live on News 6 Plus. I'm Matt Austin.
And I'm Ginger Gadsden. And Palm Bay is not the only place seeing those flames.
No, they're not. This brush fire popped up in Orange County, got dangerously close to the post office near the Waterford Lake Shopping Center. Video from Sky 6 shows fire crews putting out hot spots just before 3 this afternoon. It is contained tonight.
All right, meteorologist Jonathan Kagas joins us now, and I know you've been seeing these things. Have any of those been big enough to be spotted on your radar this afternoon?
They have, almost all of them, at least in Brevard, because we're a little closer to proximity of the radar. You see the little thing going across your screen. The Melbourne radar is right there. So the closer they are to the radar, the smaller they can be to be detected. This one on the bigger side, though, you see the smoke plume. So the radar can see a lot more things than just rainfall or anything like that. But it's picking up this smoke plume pushing towards Osceola County. Would not be surprised if some of that's actually being seen on the turnpike as it moves through Osceola County. But one of the fires in the compound fire blowing off from east to west. So watching that closely. We talked about this yesterday. Fire risk, it's going to stay high indefinitely, really, until we get some decent rain across here, which is unlikely in the next week or two. Just a few scattered chances. But day by day, the fire threat can go relatively higher or relatively lower. Tomorrow's another one of those days where it's relatively higher. Now, just like today, I-95 is not outlooked in the corridor. So that's including us in Brevard, because the relative humidity is slightly higher, making it slightly harder, emphasis on the slightly, for fires to get started and to spread. However, we've seen today a handful of fires in the area outside of the outlook area. So the point I'm trying to make is that we're going to be on these higher fire threat days, guys, for the foreseeable future.
We have people actually putting children in danger in our county by facilitating drunken parties for minors, facing much less of a response. Where are our priorities?
Teachers are looked upon by most students as a figure of influence and authority, and they must adhere to a higher standard, which means they must adhere to law.
Emotions high in Brevard County. Those were people who attended a school board meeting last night. Outside, students hitting the sidewalk in protest.
This all started after a teacher's contract was not renewed over the use of a student's preferred name. However, one board member is fighting for her job. News 6's James Barbero asked the board member about his intentions and if he plans to try again.
I was hoping I might be able to get the board to come together to ask the superintendent to reconsider Ms. Calhoun's contract.
A rare moment of applause for school board members at last night's contentious meeting. But John Thomas was able to win over, for the moment anyway, John, at least some in that hostile crowd. The other board members didn't see it eye to eye with you, however. So why do you think Melissa Calhoun should still be teaching for Brevard Public Schools?
Well, I think she made a mistake. She acknowledged that mistake, and I think it's something that she can recover from. We've seen an outpouring of support from the students and other teachers. It just shows what kind of person she is. She just deserves to have a second chance.
When I've talked to some others on the board one-on-one, like Matt Susan, he basically put it like this: the district's hands are tied. You have to follow the law.
The teacher admitted to breaking the law.
Do you have a different interpretation of what the school board can and cannot do right now?
Well, with all due respect, I think we all have our own opinions, but, we don't make the personnel decisions, but we can encourage the superintendent to reevaluate, and that's what I tried to do last night.
Some of those who came to the meeting said they'll continue to rally for Ms. Calhoun. Will you try again to bring forward your proposal?
I'll certainly consider it. I think it certainly doesn't help Brevard Public Schools be the best we can be by losing a great teacher.
If you could have a conversation right now with Ms. Calhoun, what would you say to her? It's undoubtedly been a difficult time for her.
That's a good question. Well, that's a tough one. I would probably encourage her to, to stay the course.
In Brevard County, I'm James Sparvero, News 6.
Now to an exclusive interview with Governor Ron DeSantis. News 6 was able to ask a variety of questions today regarding some hot topic issues Floridians are facing.
From tariffs to immigration, the governor offered insight to News 6's Laverne McGee on what might be the best path forward. Here's Laverne with more.
Any thoughts on these tariffs, the tariff wars with China? If you were president, would you have handled things like this?
Well, what I'd say about this is I think it's a moving target. I think this is very fluid. I think you're going to probably land somewhere different than where you are now. You see the market gyrations, which obviously can spook people. I do think there's a lot of uncertainty where, some people may like tariffs, some people may not, but like business, just tell me what the rules are going to be. And so once they arrive, maybe after the end of the 90-day period where they've done the deals, people know what the rules are, I think that'll provide a lot of assurance.
People like what they're hearing from you. One of the things is the property taxes. Tell us more about that.
Well, this has been the crunch for Florida residents, that we've had a boom in property values, which there's some benefits to that, obviously, because your house is worth more, but then your value gets assessed and you get a bigger property tax bill. And that's true even if you have the homestead protection, because they still let it go up. So you do those cumulative increases over 3, 4, 5 years when we've seen property values go up and homeowners want relief. So that's the number one way we can provide Floridians with really meaningful tax relief. So far, the Florida House of Representatives has not been interested in pursuing property tax relief. I think that's a mistake.
The other big thing is immigration. What are your thoughts? Florida judge saying that they're not going to go with this immigration situation. What are your thoughts?
Well, we're now in a situation in this country where judges are basically running immigration policy. So remember, Biden allowed the border to be open. He wasn't enforcing the law, and these judges would say, oh, well, a state can't go in and enforce the law. So they gave a blank check for Biden not to enforce the law. Now you have a new administration, the Trump administration, that wants to enforce it, and they're throwing sand in the gears in that. So it's kind of like heads they win, tails I lose. That's not the way this should be done. We have the right to make sure that the laws are enforced. Some of the people that they're in the courts, some of these people are parts of like gang members and stuff. Like, why would they have more? It's almost like they have more due process than an American citizen with some of these judges. So I do think there's a concerted effort to kneecap immigration enforcement. I'm proud of the work that we've done. We've been the leading state working with the federal government on doing these operations.
Laverne McGee, News 6.
A lot of important stuff in there, and the legislative session ends very soon, so he's going to be a busy guy. Well, Hope City Refuge, who sheltered homeless people in storage containers until the fire marshal shuttered the facilities last year, is presenting Orange County leaders a proposal to rezone the area for a crisis center with hundreds of units for people in need.
However, there are several roadblocks before they make that happen, including paying millions of dollars worth of fines. News 6 reporter Jarrell Baker has more.
It's a dream Pastor Marcos Diaz is trying to make a reality.
This side right here is all going to be emergency housing because this is the area we have no neighbors.
Turning this 6.23 acre property into a crisis center for the homeless, with around 240 units for transitional and emergency housing and other facilities, including a drug treatment center.
So here will be the transitional housing. It's a setup. 5 buildings, 3 floors. Each building has 8 apartments per floor.
These plans come 1 year after the Orange County Fire Marshal shut down their facilities for sheltering homeless people in storage containers, housing 120 people at one point.
That was what happened during the COVID, during the time of crisis. We had to come with a solution because we had so many people here that we had to sustain.
Hope City Refuge presented their plans to the county commission this week. Several people in the community supporting and opposing the idea. During the meeting, Orange County staff pointing out That Hope City Refuge had millions of dollars in unpaid fines, including $65,000 of non-negotiable fines.
To date, there are $2.5 million in administrative. We have not received any communications with them regarding reducing those fines.
Two of the main violations, not removing the storage containers and allowing trucks to park on their property.
They received the code violations, letting them know they could not park there, and per Mr. Diaz, they were collecting money from people who were parking there.
They always gave their donation, and that's what sustained those kids, because we never got no government assistance. This has always been out of our heart and compassion.
County leaders say it wasn't clear how the organization would pay for the project or pay for the outstanding fines, which is why they decided to give the organization more time.
Whatever it takes to show that we're community players and we're here to help the community.
Pastor Marco says that they didn't understand all the rules at the time, and over the last 3 days, they've been working to come in compliance. They plan to come in full compliance and pay off their fines or settle them by the next hearing in June. In Orlando, Jarrell Baker, News 6.
All right, in just about 19 minutes, but who's counting? Your Orlando Magic have a chance to even the series against the Boston Celtics.
All right, we're not going to lie. It's an uphill battle. They face the defending world champions. Orlando looked solid in the first half of Game 1, ultimately lost a little composure in the second half. Paolo Banchero dominated with 36 points, 11 rebounds. They're looking for more of the same from that tonight. Another positive for the Magic. I hate to even say this is a positive, but it is. It's true. Celtics superstar Jason Tatum listed as doubtful with that injured wrist. Hey, Jason, take your time coming back. It's okay. Hope you're fine.
Maybe he's a slow healer.
Not having him on the floor. Positive for the Magic. Tip-off at 7. News 6's sports director Jamie Say is in Boston. We'll have full highlights and recap tonight at 11 o'clock.
I believe in these guys, but, you know, there's somebody in this building in the booth right now who is rooting for the Celtics.
He's yelling in our ear.
Did you just hear it?
Right now.
All right, let's take a look at what's trending right now on Central Florida's #1 news website, clickorlando.com.
Orange County pushing to bring major sporting events to Orlando, like the Jacksonville Jaguars, WWE, and UFC. Ginger's a big UFC fan. County commissioners approved incentives that would provide millions of dollars for marketing, upgrades, and bidding fees.
I honestly thought we misspelled UCF. There is already an agreement in place for Orlando to host WWE and UFC events between 2026 and 2031. The Jags will also be looking for a temporary home stadium as their current one undergoes renovations. A lot happening, and it all could be really good for the City Beautiful.
It could. It's a lot of money just to try to lure tens of millions of dollars.
There is no try.
A bit excessive.
We're just going to do it.
I don't know. We'll see. Well, here are some other trending stories right now over at clickorlando.com.
A lot of people have anxiety about flying after recent deadly incidents. However, experts are providing ways to stay calm, including deep breathing and visualizing safety procedures before the flight.
What?
You know, listening to the flight attendants.
That's terrible advice you're giving people.
It's not my advice. They say these will help ease your fears.
Visualize the safety.
And visualize your exits.
I'm watching my movie. I'm in full movie mode when those things are happening.
I'm asleep.
Florida is not the most expensive state to live in. Hey, it's actually 13th. New study shows Hawaii tops the list, taking nearly 54% of homeowners' median monthly income. That's crazy. More than 50% of your income. Celebrating the history of Orlando in a special exhibit.
Featuring one of the city's oldest celebrities, Billy the Swan. Next at 6:30, from memorabilia to swans, how you can get in on the 150-year celebration.
Is that a taxidermied swan?
It is. It's Billy.
Plus a groundbreaking program in Daytona Beach training the next generation of air traffic controllers. The impact the graduates will have in an industry that's seeing a shortage right now.
You're watching News 6 at 6:30 live on News 6 Plus. We're covering Dr. Phillips, Deltona, and all of Central Florida. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Hey, Emory-Riddle students getting a fast track to the control tower thanks to a groundbreaking FAA program. For the first time ever, the students will be able to take to the towers right after graduation.
News 6's Molly Reed shows us how the university's new high-tech labs are making it possible and how it will help during a national shortage of air traffic controllers.
This is one of Emory-Riddle's ATC labs where the students are getting the hands-on experience for them to bypass the FAA Academy, several requirements, and head right into the workforce.
Southwest 923 Academy Ground, runway 28 right, taxi via Charlie Indy Alpha.
Kyra Hansen will be one of the first 4 graduates from Emory-Riddle's Enhanced Air Traffic Collegiate Training.
That's where I find the fun in it, and that's where the challenge is, and I think that's what appeals to a lot of people is the creative problem solving and the then it's never going to be the same.
Before this, graduates would have to wait years to be hired.
Ground runway 28 right, taxi via Charlie Indy Alpha.
Now,
they can be immediately hired into the FAA. Bypassing the 3 to 4 months at the FAA Academy, completely eliminating that 1 to 2 year bureaucratic backlog.
With the national air traffic controller shortage, this could help fill positions faster with graduates ready to take to the tower.
If the FAA continues this current trajectory, when you factor in retirement and other attrition, we'll have a net increase of around 200 controllers between now and 2032.
And filling the gaps means more eyes on the runways, meaning more flights that can be added or less ground stops for you.
And so when I see that they're getting close to the end of the runway, then I'll transfer the strip to local.
Of course, there are other perks to the job too.
Median salary for an air traffic controller in the United States is over $150,000 a year. Great career to be in.
Now that they have the program up and running, they expect to have 60 to 100 graduates from this program per year going forward. In Daytona Beach, Volusia County, I'm Molly Reed, News 6.
If someone had said that number to me out of college,
150 grand out of college? Whoa.
I'd be a different human being.
You would be pushing some tin,
I mean,
so would I.
I would be made not partially of ramen noodles because that's what I survived on after college, during and
that's
after
what
college.
all of us TV people did.
That's pretty nice.
But no,
stuff.
that's impressive. Hard job, though. It is very difficult.
And important. Very important.
Yeah, and we need more of them. All right, let's take a live look at our launch credit union camera out at Port Canaveral. The palm fronds aren't even really blowing here. Not much of a breeze out there at the moment. We've got meteorologist Jonathan Kagas joining us now. We're in desperate need of some rain. This time of year isn't known as the wet season for us.
It's not.
But that's coming.
It's coming now.
Is there a pattern like off in the distance that's going to get us some rain at some point?
I mean, the next 2 weeks, the next 2 weeks look really, really dry. We're officially out of the La Nina. Okay, so now we're going to go into this rabbit hole that you've got.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So it's okay. This is good.
We're on digital. It's okay.
So La Nina, typically we're drier and warmer than normal. That has officially come to an end. However, the atmosphere takes a little bit of time to realize there's been a change with some of that stuff. So over the next couple of weeks, we're still going to be entrenched in that pattern. Big Bermuda high also going to help to keep pushing things back to our north and west. And that's also going to prevent from the sea breezes from starting to do that. And while the air is super dry, even if we do have the sea breeze initiating,
it doesn't push that humidity.
That's right.
Okay, it's like you've been working out, but it takes a while to see the result.
Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
There it is.
The lactic acid has to build.
Is that what?
Well, I don't know
That's
what's
what makes you
building.
sore. Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to go with her analogy, and I probably messed it up.
Yeah, we need some steroids in here to help us out. Let's
Put
get
us
that
back on track.
HGH, baby. Unfortunately, we don't have anything. We can't really do that to help get some rain back in here. There is one of the bigger brush fires here. This is one of the compound fires. The smoke plume showing up on radar tonight. There's the Melbourne radar. You see that big beam scanning the skies here. But there's that smoke plume again. A pretty large fire, 100 acres last check. Grew very, very fast in the brush in Brevard County. The breeze has been elevated, and the shot in Port Canaveral wasn't doing too bad, but just down the road we have 15, 20 mile per hour gusts. Again, certainly not crazy. It'd be much, much worse if we had those wind gusts of about 20 to 30 miles an hour. Certainly that's not the case. It'll be a touch breezy getting into tomorrow. Another elevated fire risk for tomorrow. Now, we keep on talking about this to use caution with these maps. What happens is everybody is going to be under this enhanced risk for wildfires to grow and spread for the foreseeable future. Because of the relative humidity being much, much lower inland, it helps to get fires developed a little bit faster. So that's why there's that extra area of concern again for the day tomorrow. As we saw today, you don't need to be in that bubble, that highlight to get brush fires to start and to spread, especially when we have a little breeze. We had a little stronger earlier this afternoon. 15 to 20 mile per hour gusts, that's your wind forecast for tomorrow. So again, nothing too crazy, but you will notice that breeze is there for sure. We're talking about the rainfall pattern, and this is your typical La Nina pattern. All the active weather is to our north and west. Watch what happens here. This is the model rainfall forecast through Sunday into Monday. It's not a ton down the Florida Peninsula at all. Closer to the Panhandle and Big Bend might get a little bit more, but you see how wet it is just towards our northwest, from Dallas to Little Rock to Nashville, Atlanta even, Charlotte. None of that, at least most of that, not really working its way down the Florida Peninsula. Here's a live look outside. Launch Credit Union camera, Port Canaveral. Skies are nice and clear. Just that little breeze out there that Matt pointed out earlier. 79 degrees, the breeze at about 10 miles an hour. Humidity levels at 62%. Again, that's what helps it, at least relatively speaking, keep the fire threat just a touch lower. Again, it's all relative. 87 right now in Groveland. We are at 87 in Leesburg. Now here's the look at your pinpoint accurate forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by the Florida Lottery.
Tomorrow, we are getting back to the 80s, some of us into the lower 90s, especially closer to the I-75 corridor. Pinpoint accurate 7-day forecast, 90 degrees on Saturday. Again, pretty warm weekend coming our way. Rain chances go up to 20% on Sunday evening, 30% on Monday, as I showed you there, though, with the rainfall model. Even though we're going to get at least the opportunity for some rain, guys, it's not going to be a ton.
Jonathan, thank you. We are hitting the road again. Our next stop is Claremont. If you live there, we want to hear from you. What makes your community special? What are your concerns? And how can we help get results? Let us know by going to clickorlando.com/hitstheroad. Fill out the form and don't be surprised if you hear from us. Keep streaming. We'll be right back.
I'm News 6 anchor Justin Warmoth.
And I'm News 6 anchor Crystal Moyer. Coming up in the morning, a new plan to breathe life into a local landmark.
Yeah, what Winter Garden is considering months after its historic theater was forced to shut its doors, and how the public can weigh in.
Plus your weather and traffic every 10 minutes. So we'll see you for News 6 mornings starting at 5. If you've wanted to meet one of Orlando's oldest celebrities, look no further than the Orange County Regional History Center.
This is Billy.
This large swan roamed Lake Lucerne from about 1910 to 1933.
He wasn't the nicest swan. He was known for chasing children
and he would bite at people's car tires.
The bird so popular, he was preserved. After his passing almost 100 years ago, he was stuffed and put in a custom display case.
You can see like some of his feathers are starting to show his age. It's very strange the way that people have like idolized him throughout the years.
He's just one of 150 artifacts telling the story of the City Beautiful, part of the Orlando Collected exhibit.
We have a brick from the Orlando Arena, or the O-Arena, that people are familiar with from 1989, where the Magic started playing. But I think that really brought Orlando to a new level, and to be able to get the entertainment and touring shows that otherwise may not have been in this area at that point.
There's even rare sports memorabilia on display, like the original seats from the baseball grandstands of historic Tinker Field. They even got a basketball shoe signed by Shaquille O'Neal during his rookie year on the Orlando Magic. Pretty cool. It wasn't just sports and entertainment that moved Orlando forward over the past 150 years. The city was also known for an iconic business.
So Tupperware was huge in Orlando. So the Tupperware home parties, this was their headquarters here in Orlando. And it kind of became like a tourist attraction.
And Brownie Wise was the powerhouse behind Tupperware's home parties, serving as the vice president. On display, one of her dresses she's believed to have worn to the 1954 Jubilee. At the time, Tupperware consultants were rewarded with pins.
They would add little pennants down bottom for different milestones that they would hit.
150 items representing 150 years of Orlando. A collective effort from residents, historians, and organizations lending items to the exhibit.
Using them to kind of tell individual stories of Orlando is a really special thing.
We need to preserve that history that was and is Orlando, but it's changing.
You can come pick up your own artifact guide and check out Orlando Collected here at the Orange County Regional History Center now through January of 2026. I have all the details on clickorlando.com/insider. In Orlando, Crystal Moyer, News 6.
I mean, the swan's weird, but it's still a part of the history.
You don't like seeing a dead taxidermied swan in a case? What's wrong with you?
But it has a story. If it didn't have a story behind it, a different thing. But Shaquille O'Neal's
the shoe,
that's
which
pretty cool.
What is size 20 something?
No.
Interesting with Tupperware too, because the company has recently run along some hard times last few years. So it's a shame to see, but very important history.
It's just a reminder.
For our city.
Exactly.
Yeah, nothing's permanent around here.
That is for sure. Well, thank you for watching News 6 at 6:30. Stream News 6 online anytime on our News 6 Plus Smart TV app.
Hey, remember, we break news at clickorlando.com. That's this place right here. Have yourself a great night. We'll see you at 11.
What is this?